Today, we're digging into something that's in almost everything we eat, sugar. We're going to uncover its hidden impact and see what a short 14-day break from it can really tell us about our bodies and our brains. So let's dive right in. So let me just ask you something right off the bat. Do you think you have a pretty good handle on how much sugar you eat? You might be skipping the candy aisle and passing on soda, but, well, the story is a whole lot more complicated than that. Because honestly, sugar is hiding in plain sight. Gastroenterologist Dr. Sarab Sethi points out that it's loaded into foods we think are actually good for us. We're talking about those vitamin drinks and smoothies, flavored yogurts that can have as much sugar as a slice of cake, and even the savory stuff, Ketchup, pasta sauce, salad dressings, and those quote-unquote healthy protein bars or baked chips. Yup, they can be absolutely packed with it. It's the sugar we don't even realize we're eating that adds up the fastest. So why is it so darn hard to say no? Look, this isn't about willpower. It's all about brain chemistry. Let's break down the super powerful craving cycle that sugar kicks off inside our heads. It all comes down to this simple but incredibly effective process. When you eat something sugary, your brain's reward system lights up and releases that feel-good chemical, dopamine. And that feels great, right? So your brain reinforces that behavior. It quickly learns, hey, that was awesome, let's do it again. And boom, you start craving more to get that exact same feeling. It's a perfect little feedback loop. And this isn't just a fleeting thing. Research from the Max Planck Institute found that eating a lot of sugar actually physically rewires our brains. It changes our neural circuits so that sugary foods feel even more rewarding over time. It's basically like turning up the volume on your cravings. It's a pretty intense comparison, and for good reason. Health organizations are getting really serious about sugar's impact. Some have even started calling it the new tobacco, just to hammer home how pervasive and damaging its effects can be for public health. Okay, so how can we possibly figure out what sugar is really doing to our own bodies? Well, one of the best ways is to just take a short break. Let's walk through what a 14-day sugar reset actually feels like, step by step. This journey definitely has a few distinct stages. So days 1 through 3, I'm not gonna lie, they're the hardest part. As your brain adapts to life without its usual sugar hit, you might get headaches, feel tired, and the cravings can be really intense. But if you can push through that, things start to change. By the middle of the reset, your energy levels start to even out, and you might notice you feel less bloated. And then by day 14, something pretty cool happens. The cravings are way down, and according to Dr. Sethi, your metabolism and hunger signals start to recalibrate. You find a new, healthier normal. But why do these changes actually happen? What's going on under the hood? Let's geek out for a minute and get into the science behind why hitting that reset button can feel so good. Even a 2-week break can bring some pretty amazing results. Your body lets go of extra water so that bloated feeling goes away. You get more stable energy and mental focus without all those sugar spikes and crashes. A break can also help lower inflammation and even reduce aches and pains. And one of the most interesting things, your taste buds literally reset. Natural foods like fruit start to taste so much sweeter. But maybe most importantly, your body's response to insulin gets a whole lot better. And get this, not all sugars are created equal. Research from UC Davis shows that different types of sugar do different jobs in the body. Fructose, for example, mainly messes with insulin sensitivity in your liver. Glucose, on the other hand, mostly affects insulin sensitivity in your muscles. It just goes to show you how nuanced this whole conversation really is. Okay, so if the goal isn't necessarily to have zero sugar for the rest of our lives, what should we be aiming for? Let's take a look at the official recommendations to get a clear, solid benchmark. First, we have to know what we're actually measuring. Health guidelines are focused on what they call free sugars. Now, the World Health Organization says these are any sugars added to food, plus the sugars you'd find in stuff like honey, syrups, and even fruit juices. This is totally different from the sugar that's just naturally part of a whole apple or a glass of milk. And this is where the numbers get a little staggering. In a country like Germany, for example, the average person consumes about 90 grams of these free sugars every day. But the WHO recommends a maximum of 50 grams. And their ideal target for the best health benefits? Under 25 grams. That is a massive gap between what we're actually doing and what the experts say we should be doing. So what does this all mean? What's the takeaway here? The most important thing to remember is that this isn't about completely banishing sweetness from your life. The real goal is to build a healthier, more mindful relationship with it, one that's based on awareness and moderation, and choosing whole foods instead of processed ones with all those hidden added sugars. And that brings us to our final thought. Now that you know where sugar hides and you know how it affects your brain and your body, it's worth taking a second to reflect. What is your relationship with sugar? And what could a little more awareness change for you?